Yeah. All right. Looks like we are live here on YouTube. Going to give this a second to let everyone tune in. How are we on TikTok? If you guys could let me know that you can hear me and see me all right, that would be great. Welcome everyone on Instagram. Same thing. If you could let me know that you can hear me and see me all right, that would be helpful. Just want to give this a second. Looks like, is it Jara or Jora Mera Deved? Welcome. So while we let everybody get tuned in here, I do want to make a couple quick announcements. We have coming up, yes, Ezzy. Let me actually get Esmeralda here set up with her cat chair, or she will go bananas the whole time. So she could join us. Well, come sit. You can lay on the floor, or you can come sit on your chair, Mama. We love having you. All right, Vanessa, welcome. And okay, thank you for the hearts on TikTok. Looks like we are moving. Any feedback here on Instagram? Is Instagram even functioning today? I can't really tell. Let me know if you can hear me and see me all right on Instagram. All right, so a couple quick announcements before we get into today's sermon topic. We do have some really important classes coming up, and registration is open. Welcome, Deanna Alt. All right, thank you, Diana. All platforms are working. Thank you so much. You're amazing. So we have coming up Meet Your Guides class. Now, this is part of my psychic mediumship course, but it is open to the public. It's one of the 6 classes I do for my psychic mediumship course students that allows for everyone to come in and join us on that night. That class is one of the oldest. I've been teaching for about 15 years. Meet Your Guides is an opportunity for you to get educated on the 5 guides that are appointed to you before you come to Earth. You understand what it is that they can do for you, how they communicate, because their language is different than every other spirit. They don't talk like angels. They don't speak like pets. They don't communicate like the deceased, okay, or higher up spirits. It's a different thing. So you get to learn more, okay, about that communication, the purpose of the relationship, start building that bond. And then you are directly through a series of exercises going to actually meet them. Then we have coming up, so that's the 3rd of March, 7 p.m. Eastern. Okay, it's also available up on the website as a video download from the last time I taught it. Or if you can't attend with us, you can get the video download for it after. So again, registration is now open. Go to Ivy Rivera psychicmedium.com and click on Ivy League Psychic Academy to get registered. Or you can just go to ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com. We also have Coffee with Your Angels class coming up. Now, Coffee with Your Angels is another really old, okay, class I've had for about 15 years. This is an opportunity for you to meet the 2 angels that are appointed to you at birth, to understand how they communicate, and to better understand also how they actually look, how they feel. There's a lot of miscommunication about angels. They're often mistaken for aliens or elementals because they can look like gargoyles, or they can be tall and have no face like aliens. You know, they don't look the same way that church has depicted them. So we're going to also, okay, cover all the basics there. So registration there is open for March 10th. We also have Reiki. If you want to become a Reiki master, or you want to start with your levels 1, 2, this is the opportunity to do that. Saturday, the 14th. That is like a 5 or 6 hour training. So it's a whole day you're committing, but that's a lot better the way I do it than the way a lot of people drag it out for like months or years. I mean, Reiki isn't that complex, shouldn't take that long, okay? But we do pack a lot in there. So again, for your Reiki masters or levels 1, 2, that's going to be Saturday the 14th. All right, we are going to go ahead and get right into today's sermon topic. We have a couple church services going on in the month of February, so I will be back also on the 22nd. In case I forget to say this as we wrap up today, I'll be back on the 22nd for the art of intimate detachment, another Roots Revival sermon, loving from a place of safety. This was requested by some of our followers and request to understand how to be involved with people without being enmeshed, or completely consumed by the other person, whether this be friendships, lovers in particular. But how do you stay in a safe place of intimacy with others and have that connection without codependency, obsession, victimization, martyrdom? How do we do that? It really is an art, and we're going to break it down on that day. Okay. So again, that's going to be the next church service. That's going to be on the 22nd. So I'm doing a couple this month. Welcome, everyone. I am your pastor, Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino airwalk, and this is Roots Revival Interfaith, where we believe in the three truths. That's intuitive intelligence, numerology, and astrology. If you follow these three truths in the universe, they will lead you to healing, to breakthroughs, to levels up. They will also assist you in developing your character, your integrity, so that you can go out and assist others, in their healing journey. We are a federally recognized church and religion, so we are not at all connected to the spiritualist religion. We are not at all connected to Christianity in any way. So I, hope to see you here for more services. We are an interactive church as well. So I do encourage you to drop your questions and comments. I, unfortunately, am not going to be able to take them from Instagram or TikTok tonight. I can only take them through YouTube. So if you do have questions or comments, you're going to want to switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy the Medium. Again, that's YouTube at Ask Ivy the Medium. And I can see all of your questions, your comments, as well as your prayer and healing requests. So go ahead and start dropping those. I will be checking in once this is published for about 2 weeks. So if you guys are watching this later, you have questions, you're watching this later and you're dropping your prayer and healing requests, I will be manifesting over those, sending you energy. Also, I want to invite everyone at this time. We are a community to please. When you see someone's prayer and healing request, give it a thumbs up, give it a heart, send them some loving, supportive, manifesting, healing energy. Woo, today's a big topic. Big topic for me. I've never talked about all of this at once in my life, okay? I don't even think to anyone I know. But Spirit started bringing this one up based off of our last church service, which was rituals for protection. If you missed it, go back and watch. If you are having issues with attacks, if you are trying to protect others, if you are looking for better ways to defend yourself, to reverse energy, go to my YouTube channel at Ask Ivy the Medium and look up rituals for protection against the evils of today. And I broke that down for about an hour and a half. Okay, we covered an awful lot. This topic today started coming up right around that time. I've never done a church sermon exclusively on my own experiences from trauma and attacks, apocalyptic times, invasions. So this is going to be interesting for me. All right. But today's topic is how I survived apocalyptic times using sharp intuition. So let's get into it. When we are put in different situations in life where we are being threatened in some way, it can feel sometimes very personal, to us. So some of you are maybe tuning in and you're like, look, I'm not in apocalyptic times necessarily. I know a bunch of other people in the world are. These are just my personal situations, and I'm hoping today will help me. It will. Sometimes you are on a personal level going through apocalyptic times, attacks from every angle, blocks and obstacles. You could feel very isolated and that it is only happening to you. And maybe it is only happening to you. Maybe it's part of your own journey, your life contract. Maybe you're going through a 2-year detox phase. We go through 6 or 7 of those over the course of our lives, and they're pretty horrible. It's where everything is being washed away. Everyone you've ever known is being washed away. A lot of people are at risk of depression, anxiety, suicide during that time. And it only lasts 2 years, but because it hits every single area of your life, you could absolutely feel like you have bad juju. The universe is attacking you. You're in some type of, again, apocalyptic ending. And we often don't understand. It's just part of a clearing cycle where the universe takes 2 years to clear out what doesn't serve you in order to make room for the new, for the rebuild. But we don't look at it that way. Okay. We are emotionally attached and we feel it to our core. So maybe you're going through something personal. Maybe you're just going through something like a divorce, or a massive job change where that also affects other areas of your life. Okay. So this will work for you. Other people are tuning in because you are living in a state or you are living in a country. You are living in a place where there are apocalyptic type situations going on constantly, and you see more of it happening in the future. You kind of know, you've picked up at this point what the universe is laying down, that it's going to get worse. And this is definitely, going to be a sermon topic for you. Others are tuning in because you're watching it happen out in the world, but you're realizing we are in a revolution and we are headed toward global apocalypse, so to speak. Okay. We have an ending going on and a new beginning will be created. But right now we are in the battle years, of the war. In the war, there are many battles. And it is on a global scale. It just hasn't hit everywhere just yet. Okay, so whatever the reason, you're here, again, I do encourage you to ask your questions. So, and I have gone through things like this on every single level, right? Personal, global, and country or state wise, right? My location, everyone around me is involved in an apocalyptic situation. So I'm just going to break this down in a simple 1, 2, 3 formula. I like for you guys to be able to leave and have things in your head that you can actually use in the future. I don't want it lost, in today's sermon, almost like you were pushed with too much curriculum. I overloaded you. I want you to think 1, 2, 3. And I am going to touch on 3 separate stories involving, these different apocalyptic situations. So the first thing to understand, whether this is personal, state, country, global, whatever it is, first thing to understand if you are going through apocalyptic times is number 1, it is the upside down world. So you have these people and circumstances and situations that you had been told, these organizations, right? These systems like government, for example, the healthcare industry, education, adults, you were told these are the safe people. These are the safe places. This is where you go for help. But in the upside down world, you realize those things are fake. They have been turned against you, or they were never for you. So in order to really escape and use your intuition to protect and defend yourself You're going to have to first break out of the matrix, so to speak. I've never seen the Matrix, but people say a lot of my teachings are exactly like the movie. I don't know what that's about, but I understand the reference. You break out of the Matrix. Or I think of the movie with Jim Carrey when he was like living in that world. Somebody let me know in the comment section what movie that was. He was living in that alternate world, okay, where they were all watching him. So everything he thought was fake. It's the upside down world. It's the topsy-turvy world. You have to first break out and understand that what you thought was true, what you thought was good, what you thought was secure, what you thought was safe is the opposite. Now, this also goes for looking for escape routes, for help, okay, what you want to be in alignment with, the things that are going to see you through any apocalyptic time are typically going to be the opposite of where you would normally look. Is that the case all the time? No, of course not. Okay, but typically. I use the example of being homeless. So my mother told me when I was 9 years old, she wanted me out. I spent a couple years in extraordinary discomfort, trying to stay in the house, trying to get back in the house, her changing the locks, her moving to dodge me. And at 14, I was officially out, okay, on the streets. And I got my first apartment when I was 15. So as a young Latina out there, vulnerable to the elements, you can only imagine the horrifying things that I went through. And it was amazing to me time and time again how everything was the upside down world. It was the first things I started to notice coming from the universe that led to my survival. All the people I was told to fear, all the things I was told were bad, all the systems I was supposed to stay away from, or the lifestyles, the groups, the communities, they were all right. And everything I was taught was wrong and would have killed me. Because none of those doors were open. All those helpers I thought I understood were not real. So I learned, for example, that and I had to follow my gut, I had to trust my instincts, my third eye, my clairvoyance, my higher mind. I had to trust that when an opportunity came for me to find safety, I was going to have to forget everything I knew, forget the way all of it looked, forget even the way it felt emotionally or mentally. And I was going to have to trust that still small voice, that intuition. I was going to have to learn to lean on the universe and spirit and their judgment because I was too young to have any of my own. I didn't have enough experiences to go by. I didn't have any patterns to look at. I had no proof. So I learned to do that. A great example of this is the amount of men who would come up to me, or adult women even, who would come up to me and say like, oh, we'll help you. Come stay over here. And I felt intuitively it was some type of a trap, and often it was. That's how little girls go missing. Okay. And many in my situation did. I learned instead that if I had a place to stay, like I remember sleeping one night in an abandoned building I think we were in the basement. I don't know. We were in an abandoned space though. No windows, the bricks falling, and I was surrounded by drug addicts who were, and here I am, 14 years old, 13 years old, and they were these older men, and we were sleeping on like mattresses on the ground, and they were there to do their drugs. I was there to get some rest, and I would watch the rats in the moonlight running around. Now, this would have seemed absolutely unsafe, risking my life. I would have been told this was the most unsafe situation you could possibly put yourself in. Go pick one of these adult men that are offering you some shelter. Go pick one of these adult women. Go pick, you know what I mean? One of these other options. Maybe go to a church, go to the police. But I knew to run and hide from those circumstances. I knew I would have been put in foster care, something even more horrifying. It would have ended up missing. It would have been nothing but a body washing up on the shore. I knew that. And today, I know that's exactly what would have happened, as we see it happening to so many other kids. So I picked situations like sleeping with these crackheads and the rats in abandoned buildings, and I was perfectly fine. You know, was it scary? I guess. I mean, until I got used to it and I realized who everybody was. So I learned that people who look unsafe, or you've been told are unsafe, or circumstances that you've been told are going to, wipe you out, are actually going to be there as your salvation when you need it. It is the upside down world in every way, shape, and form, and you're gonna have to learn it. Okay, be careful in the upside down world too, because you can have frenemies, you can have people in close. Be careful who you share, especially if you're going through a lot of personal stuff and your apocalypse is not an international scale or your country or your state. It's just you. Especially then, be very careful who you trust. Be careful who you're letting in, because in a period of time like that, it is often those that we let in the closest that can take us out. And that sounds like gloom and doom and really unfortunate, but it is the case. I like to say new level, new devil. So you're about to level up out of this eventually, and everyone who's there may not be going with you. Typically very few. Same thing if you're dealing with this on like a state level, or your town is going through apocalyptic times. This is where we have to be very careful with the police, with the government, okay, with whoever is supposed to be there protecting you. Be very careful who you trust. Work with the people on the streets as much as possible. And those, again, that you think are going to be the worst, those people are going to be your saving grace. Some of the best people I ever met were other homeless people, okay? Never harassed me, never stole my cigarettes, never laid a hand on me, never anything. Okay, amazing. Really nice that we could all kind of keep an eye on each other too, so that like we could sleep in shifts. It was sort of just working naturally that way, Expect the unexpected, trust the unexpected. And I want to move on to number two. Number two. How do you survive apocalyptic times? How I survived apocalyptic times, sharp intuition. All right, number two, watch for the helpers. This is something Mr. Rogers would always say. Watch for the helpers. Watch for the helpers. So I have not found many helpers in the traditional fields, as I said, but I have found a ton of helpers through humans who are randomly being used as, you could call them earth angels. You could say that they are the mouthpiece for God. You could say that spirit is channeling through them. Okay. But people who I didn't expect to help have absolutely been the helpers. And we often see that the helpers are not people at all. Okay, they are signs, they are symbols, they are spirits, they are the universe's way of directly interacting with you incessantly to assist you onto the right path, to keep you safe and protected, and sometimes to even get you to help other people who are going through something similar. So when we talk about the helpers coming to assist, it is typically going to look like people around you that you don't know saying something to you that you needed to hear, offering you some type of assistance that you didn't even ask for, giving you a solution or being the doorway to an opportunity that helps you to escape or level up. You didn't ask. You don't know who the heck they are. They may not even remember doing it. They may disappear after they do it. You'll never see this person again. Was that even a person? Was that real? Did that thing just happen? Okay. They're everywhere. The helpers are everywhere. But if you are in a panicked state where your ego, fear, manipulation, and control has taken over, and you aren't open to working with the helpers, to hearing them, to seeing them, you could end up missing it. You need to pay really close attention. I was on a bus one time from California to New York City, or California to Connecticut, or something like that. You know, because I used to work for like 4 months and I would just pack my bag. I had one bag, literally one bag, travel the country, work 4 months over here, pack my bag, move somewhere else, move somewhere else. I did this for many years. And I was moving from California back toward New York. And it was a 10-day train ride, and it was about the same on the bus. Okay. And it was a really dark time for me taking the Greyhound. I was, I think, 16, and there was a guy who had been tracking me the entire time. He was just kind of a monster. He wouldn't leave me alone. He was coughing up blood. He was just constantly harassing me, and it was gross, and I couldn't get away. And I took a seat by a window, and this older gentleman, probably my age now, this older gentleman came and sat by me, some middle-aged guy, and sat in the middle. So like this guy couldn't get at me. And I fell asleep, and I fell asleep like I hadn't slept in a million years. And when I woke up, he had his Carhartt. What are those thick jackets called that like working men wear? Carhartt. He had his jacket on me, and this guy protected me for days, And he later called the police, and the police went and found my parents and said, "Are you aware that your daughter is like traveling the country and is in all these troubles?" And they said, "We weren't looking for her." And he said that he prayed over me for years. For years, he said every day he prayed over me until he found me. I was like in my mid-30s, and he found me on Facebook or something. And I never forgot that experience. I wasn't even sure he was a real person, but you know, sometimes the universe will put you in just the right place with just the right person. And these helpers have extraordinary ability to protect you, and they are also extraordinarily protected during that period. So maybe sometimes you're a helper for someone else. I had another incident where I was dating someone, and I didn't know he was a murderer. I didn't know he was going to try to kill me. I wanted to get away from him. I was in the process of getting away from him, but I didn't know. I think my brain could not conceive of how much danger I was in. It took me 4 months to get out police escorted. But right before I really started making those moves to get out, I will never forget a situation where I was at a restaurant. He was sitting across from me, and a waitress went by. She wasn't our waitress. I didn't see her before that, and I didn't see her after this, but she went right up on our table and dropped the fork under the table and by my foot, which in itself was symbolic of defense. And when she got up, she looked right at me. And when I looked in her eyes, I knew she wasn't in her body. I know, as a psychic medium, what trance looks like. Trance mediumship, physical mediumship, possession. It's all the same thing. I knew it wasn't her talking to me, but she picked up this fork and she stared right at me. And she looked at him, gave him a dirty look, and said, "You are lucky to spend any time with her. You are lucky to have spent any time with her." And he looked white as a ghost. She just kept walking and she disappeared. We literally looked like, what a weird thing to have happen. That is another instance, and I have a million of those, where somebody said something to me in just a way at just the right time, or confronted whoever my attacker was, who had their mask on, and revealed what was really going on, gave a warning, right? Humans are the mouthpiece for God. Humans will channel when something needs to be said or done and have no recollection of it whatsoever. So watch for the helpers. Number 3, help yourself. If anything was going to take me out in this life, it was going to be my own stupidity. Because I am clearly protected. I couldn't ask for anything more. Okay? I've had a rough go of it. Fine. So be it. But I've had a ridiculous amount of assistance. And I have been the one common denominator in almost getting wiped out. And it was because I wasn't helping myself. Now, that's going to break down to you being double-minded, negating your intuition, allowing your emotions to run your life, allowing your excessive logic to run your life instead of your intuitive intelligence, which trumps the other two at all times. You can get so tied up in feeling like you can't protect yourself, you can't defend yourself, you can't go any further. I can't do this. The I can'ts. You go to bed, I can't. You wake up, I can't. You need to kill that part of yourself off. That is dangerous. Dangerous. Okay, you need to replace it with, I will. When I'm up to bat, I will. I will figure it out when I need to. I will handle things. You need to move faster. The one thing that really almost took me out repeatedly was that I wasn't fast enough. I would know what my gut was telling me. I would know what my intuition, my psychic ability, the visions were telling me, prophecy was telling me, spirit was telling me, signs and symbols all around me telling me, sometimes even wise friends or people, but I didn't move fast enough. And I have often made it out by the skin of my teeth. Okay, so I would say once you hear something, once you know, now I'm very quick. Okay, I don't even need to be told twice. Just let me have an inkling of it. Just let me hear it just once. Let me just see something that looks off and I'm making a move. So you have to get faster about things. You should, at any time you are in an apocalyptic type situation, massive revolution, big changes coming in, a detox phase, if this is again personal for you, where everything's being wiped out, for the new to come in, you are going to have visions of it. And what I mean by visions is a lot of deja vu or premonitions, maybe in your mind's eye. It's funny, I pictured that, or I was just thinking this thing could happen, or this might happen, or I shouldn't trust this person, or there will be a change. I was just thinking that. Why was I thinking that? Maybe it feels to you like it's paranoid thinking, but it's actually a vision. You'll have it while you're awake. You will have prophecy while you're asleep. So the universe never misses a beat, and neither do you. When you're asleep, you're going to have visions of what is going to occur, what the solution is, when all of this is going to happen. And then we wake up and we go, "Oh, that was a horrible nightmare. Oh, wow, I'm gonna act like that didn't happen." And then it happens again and again and again. And you just continuously ignore it. Okay. You are your own worst enemy. You must help yourself. I like to say that I've recognized a pattern in life that appears to be true. Really, it does. Where the universe puts 50% of responsibility on us. We have to do our part. We have to hold ourselves accountable. And then the universe comes in and does the other 50%. The ego says it's all on us, but it isn't. It is partially us, and then the universe can assist with the rest. I will die on that hill. I swear to God, this is how it works, right? But if you're not doing your part, law of the light says the universe can't enable you. The universe can't coddle you. The universe can't treat you like a baby, right? The universe can't step in unless you're helping yourself. So a lot of people who feel stuck in life in any situation, in any type of lifestyle, maybe it's not apocalyptic for you, but you have been stuck for a ridiculous amount of time. In so many ways, you forget who you even are anymore, where you were planning on going. This could be why. Are you doing your 50%? Are you helping yourself? Because certainly you've been told what to do. You've been shown what to do. You've been given timelines on when to do it, how to do it, why to do it. And you're not listening. So I went through a situation where I was living in Queens and I had a very small child and I had a partner at the time. My partner was working in the towers. And he worked with Cantor Fitzgerald and Merrill Lynch. He worked in both towers. He would run between the two from like 11 a.m. to like 1:30 or 2 p.m. Like during those hours, he was always up in there. And I knew he was in there. I knew from visions I was having that something horrible was going to happen. But because my logic said nothing terrible like a war could happen in New York City, wars don't even hit the ground in America in general. Nothing horrible could happen in the USA like that, much less right here where I live. Come on. And it's New York, right? The whole world loves New York. I couldn't be in a safer spot than New York. Well, I was wrong, and the visions kept coming. So I was having horrible nightmares that were getting closer and closer and closer together until eventually I was dreaming every single night of war coming to New York and me having to tell my partner we needed to leave. I simply could not wrap my head around it, so I kept fighting it. I fought it for a ridiculous amount of time. I want to say months, which was really, really ignorant. I learned my lesson. Eventually, during the day, I would be trying to take care of my child and I would be washing my laundry and, you know what I mean, trying to get groceries. New York is a very, very busy place. I was caught up in life. And while I was caught up in New York City type life, I would freeze and I would go into a trance state and I would have visions of this war coming. Something you should know is that when you are in apocalyptic times, you are entering into traumatic times, you are in a revolution as we are now, you never just receive visions and prophecy about the next big hit. You receive information in great detail about the next big hit. Again, what to do, how to escape it, how to help others even, da-da-da-da-da. But you also receive long-term information. So back during 9/11, I was receiving information about things that are happening now and things that haven't even happened yet. You see it all like a domino effect. And it can be overwhelming for the average person. I understood, though, what I was looking at. I'm Taino Arawak. I understood psychic mediumship. I was already practicing. I knew what was happening. I didn't want to understand what was happening. I was denying what was happening, but I understood fully where the information was coming from and what it was going to mean for my safety. So I decided, once I was having the trance states during the day where I couldn't walk, I couldn't do the laundry, I was going in and out of these trance states. I couldn't take care of my child in a safe manner anymore. I wanted to stop this. I went to my partner and I said, we're going to have to get out of here. He went to his boss because he had known me long enough to know that when I have a vision, we have to listen. He went to his boss and he said, we're going to have to get a transfer out of here. Can you send me somewhere else? Like, I want to stay with the company, but where else can we go? And they offered him a promotion. And they offered him so much money. 3 times this happened over the course of a couple weeks. He would come back and he would be like, you're not going to believe this. They offered me more money. They love upstate workers. And he was from upstate. In New York City, they love upstate workers. They're hard workers. So everyone said to me, you're crazy. You're ruining your daughter's life. You're ruining your life. You could be living in Manhattan in 4 months in a nice place. How are you turning down these promotions and these opportunities? And where are you going? There's no world outside of New York City. What are you thinking? Everyone abandoned me. Everyone told me I was crazy. And I had to tell him at some point, we're out of time. I'm literally in and out of trance all day, all night. I can't live like this. We are out of time. I said, just give him an ultimatum. Go in there, take charge, dude. You know what I mean? This guy had no spine. I said, go in there and tell them if they're not going to transfer you out, you're leaving. That's it. Because I said, I'm out of here. I'm taking my daughter. I'm out of here. And he did. He gave him an ultimatum and they said, okay, we'll transfer you to Buffalo, New York. We got to Buffalo with 9 days to spare before both towers went down. We were in boxes. I didn't even know where I was. I wasn't familiar at all with the area. It was an out-of-body experience in every way. And the towers go down. And he sat there for days looking like a zombie, just watching the names go up on the screen every day, more and more names of the bodies of his coworkers, of his friends, And there we were. I made it out by the skin of my teeth. 9 days to spare. That was a dumb move. I had months to prepare. Months. I sat on this information, trying to deny it, hoping I was almost having a psychotic episode or something, right? But true visions and prophecy could never be mistaken with a psychotic episode. They are intricate in detail. The timelines are so specific. The solutions are there. Okay. And I never after that made mistakes quite like that again. Though I have struggled with my speed, okay, on other things. But it is always, I assure you, because I am getting in my own way, because my feelings want to believe something else. My maybe childhood issues want to believe something else. Maybe my ego, which is again fear, manipulation, and control, wants to believe something else. I've invested too much. I've dug in too deep. I don't want to believe something. It's always been me. There is no situation that you can't get out of, that you are not fully supported in, if you're paying attention and trusting your gut. You need to understand that if something happens and you did not receive this type of help, it is contracted, meaning you signed a contract before you came to Earth to go through that sickness, that disease, that apocalyptic moment, that trauma, that change, whatever it is. Okay. It's karmic in some way, which is growth, lessons, development. Okay. So a lot of things are contracted, but there were a lot of people, just even with 9/11. I listen to the stories every year as it comes up. I go down a rabbit hole and I cry for weeks on end, and it's gross. But I listen to these stories, more and more of them coming up in time, of people who knew better. They knew better. They left their wedding ring for their wife or their husband. They knew. They sent out I love yous earlier that day. They had no real clue what was going to happen. No one could have ever imagined such a thing, but they knew, and they went against what they knew. That is not a contracted point of passing. Okay. They could have gotten out of that. We have to be careful. So those are just some examples of the things that I've gone through where I have seen the upside down world, the real world of help, where I have seen the helpers that Mr. Rogers talked about, and where I have decided ultimately to help myself based on the information that was given to me. Everything I needed to know was there. Every tool was available. Was I going to get in my own way and perish and take a couple other people down with me, or not? You know, something else that can go hand in hand with this for those of you, and then I'm going to get into prayer and healing requests, and I'm going to start taking your questions now. But I do want to mention just one last thing with this. If you are on Instagram or you're on TikTok, I'm unable to see your questions and your comments. So if you could switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy the Medium, I can see them in the feed over here. Okay. Hi, Ezzy. Where were you? She's got cobwebs all up in her face. I don't know where she was. Where were you? On an adventure. It's important to also understand that something called messenger of death syndrome can occur regularly, become part of your routine after an incident like any of these that I mentioned. Yeah. So messenger of death syndrome is something that a small portion of psychics typically have, where they can predict illness, disease, world events, death, any type of real traumatic situation. And it feels like a blessing and a curse. No one really wants to know this stuff, especially if they can't step in to prevent it. And often that is the case. But messenger of death syndrome happens to all of us at different times throughout our lives. So if you ever predicted, usually as a kid, it's with like family members or something, when maybe a grandmother or grandfather or an uncle or an aunt was going to pass away, maybe you just knew a lot more as a kid about terrible things that were going to happen. Somebody was going to get sick, there was going to be a car accident, something bad was coming. When we enter into a potential harmful cycle, your messenger of death syndrome will activate. And you're not just getting, and I can't prescribe a diagnosis, but be careful getting misdiagnosed, with different things. Because when messenger of death syndrome activates, it doesn't just hit your own personal life. Okay. Like I saw the war coming, 9/11 coming, and I lived in New York City. Okay. All right. Makes sense. That was involving me directly. Got it. But I saw a lot of other things during that time. During those months where I was receiving the visions, I was also able to go to a friend who ended up dying a year to the date I told him. I was able to see a lot of different things for different people that could have been prevented, most of them. And so messenger of death syndrome is not necessarily a genie you can shove back in the bottle. Okay. Once that box is open, once Pandora's box is open, it could be something you struggle with for the rest of your life. And I want to hear in the comment section, Who has this where you can like look at someone you're at the red light and you look at the guy in the truck next to you and you know he's going to have a heart attack in 6 weeks or something random. And you're like, why do I know this stuff? A lot of people with messenger of death syndrome can feel as though they cause horrible things to happen because they saw it psychically ahead of time. You didn't manifest that. You simply understood that it was coming. Many people with this lean into heavy religiosity because religions have typically said that knowing these types of things is demonic, or you're in cahoots with the devil, or you're causing it in some way. So they think they can get clean by being part of like the church or against anything demonic. And the church is the most demonic thing out there. So there's nothing wrong with you, but it can be an irreversible gift, okay, that certainly feels like a curse. Now, that may not happen for everybody. Maybe you're going to go through something super crazy intense and you'll have messenger of death syndrome when it happens. You won't have it again for another 50 years. I hope that for you. I wish that for you. Okay. But if you have it, know that it's okay. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not causing it, and you should take it seriously because a lot of these things can be prevented that you're seeing. Okay. And most of them won't be for you. They're for other people. And that can also be confusion. Is this about me? Is this horrible thing I'm seeing about me? Probably not. Hopefully not. That doesn't mean it's inaccurate. It means you're becoming a helper. Okay. So don't fight the system. Pay it forward. All right. I want to get into any questions or comments. I hope this was helpful. If you guys enjoyed any parts of this tonight, you may want to go back and watch the previous sermon I did on rituals for protection. Okay, functioning in today's worlds of evil. I don't remember the whole title, but it's up on my YouTube at Ask Ivy the Medium. And I think it'll fill in any gaps on a more personal, like mundane level. All right, I'm going to check out your questions and comments here. Let's see what we have coming in. Bear with me. I am producing on my own today, so I have to adult. I have 7 Gemini placements and it's Mercury in retrograde shadow, so bear with me here. God only knows. All right, let me go way up to the top. Holy cow, you guys were commenting a lot. I was in a world of my own. I didn't even know this. Hey, Demetrius. Welcome to Guess Your Birthday. I don't know if you're talking to someone else. Melsubi says, hi, everyone. Okay. Oh, thank you, Diana. Okay. Joelle Big Head Turtle Clan from TikTok said, how much for classes? And are the classes live with you? Who's this? Joelle Big Head Turtle Clan from TikTok. Thank you for the hearts on TikTok. Yes, all of the classes are with me. I own the academy. Everything I teach is from personal experience, information channeled directly from spirit. Classes are all different prices depending on what type of class you're trying to take. And they are all listed up on the website at ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com. Or you can also check out Roots Revival up on that website and pull down the bar and you'll see registration options, payment options. I have taken everything and I've made it payment options. If it's anything bigger like Reiki or the psychic mediumship course, anything larger, the tarot course, those are payment options now because everyone's strapped. Thank you. Yeah, they're live. The classes I mentioned earlier, Meet Your Guides, Coffee with Your Angels, Reiki, those are going to be live. Now, if you can't attend live, you can also just click when you register, video download. And once it is edited and everything by my assistant, we'll get it right out to you. Thank you. Thank you, Joelle. And we also have... Joelle says, yes, especially being from the res. Yes. Interesting. So Joelle Porter says, I'm Native American and from the res, you really helped me when no one else could. Okay, amazing, Joelle. Thank you for that testimony. I work a lot with the different reservations, different tribes. We have to do a lot of hoop jumping for tax purposes. Sometimes it takes a couple years, but I do go in and out of the. I got to fix my TikTok. Hold on. I'm often one of the very few outsiders that gets in with the natives to teach Reiki or psychic mediumship or do my shows or things like that. So I do work directly with the tribes. Thank you so much for the hearts on TikTok. Oh, the Truman Show. Thank you, love and beloved. Jim Carrey on the Truman Show. Yes. So, you know, he was living in the upside down world. He didn't know. And often when we go through an apocalyptic type situation, you know, we come out of it typically within like a year or two, realizing everything we thought was the opposite. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. 100%. Thank you. The Truman Show. That would have made me nuts. Okay. We also have, let's see. Joelle also says family and emotions are so hard, especially when you learn that they hate you and want bad for you. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow. My first attackers were my family. I call them murderous parents. The first people to clearly want me dead were the birth givers, right? And that happens to a lot of us. And we don't fully understand. I did know. I was aware that they were going to kill me. I knew. But there are a lot of people who go into their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s or even take care of their parents when they're old. And the whole time they wanted them dead. They were doing a million things along the way to end their life. You know, and we have to be so careful. We are typically not born into families because it's going to be lovey-dovey, good times, noodle salad. We're typically born into families to learn a lot from those original people. So it's a hard reality, but you got to learn it if that is your story. Let's see. Joelle also says, I had visions of what is happening now. I believe 2 years ago. It scared me and I stepped back. And later now I feel like I'm being pulled into it again. So that's a good point. Let's talk about that real quick. I'm going to take this down because it is covering my face, but let's talk about that. We often have deja vus because they are premonitions that were given early on in life, like maybe even childhood, and then they don't happen until, you know, your 30s, or they're given years and years in advance. And then they start to sort of suck you back in. You start to have these flashbacks. You start to have these deja vus. You start to dream about it again, or you're seeing it play out in like movies and things in your algorithm. And you're like, this is odd. This is awfully similar. Why do I feel like this is so familiar? And that can cause that sort of panic, fight or flight reaction. And remember, we want to stay out of that. All it means is that it's time. It's time for this thing to play out. You have quite possibly, if you have any deja vus about it, if you had any previous visions, you have quite possibly also received downloads. Downloads where spirit came to you and put direction into you. Okay. It could have felt like you went through like anywhere from a couple weeks to a couple months where you had like electricity running from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, restless leg syndrome. You really didn't eat. You really didn't sleep. You know, you changed. Your energy was off the charts, and information that was downloaded into you wasn't necessarily something you remember at the time or something certainly you thought was important or that you could use. You probably just thought you were going through something like a manic episode. And, you know, then one day it just shuts off. But that downloaded information will resurrect. You now have access to it as it becomes relatable to the circumstances. So the apocalyptic times, the trauma, the changes set in, and then you're ready to recall all of that direction that you can now apply. Vanessa said, I need healing prayers for my health. Okay. And yes, we are sending that to you, Vanessa. Joelle says, I'd like prayers for protection and cleansing. Sending that to you, Joelle. Mel Subi 75 says prayers for my children, especially C and my client L, and prayers for my health. Okay. Sending Mel Subi. All right. Beautiful. Looks like I got to everybody over here. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. And please always let me know if you ever want a part 2, or if you want a church sermon, a sermon topic on something else that I haven't touched on. I know I touch on a lot. We do at least one of these a month. So you can always go back and watch the other ones, but please do. Okay. Let me know what you guys would like to learn more about, hear more about. And in the meantime, I want to just remind you to post your prayer and healing requests, your questions and comments. I'll be checking this for 2 weeks only on my YouTube at Ask Ivy the Medium. And also I will see you back here. Oh, don't forget, registration is now open for Coffee with Your Angels, March 10th, Meet Your Guides, March 3rd, Reiki training, masters and levels 1, 2, Saturday the 14th. And if you want to get in for the psychic mediumship course, registration is shut down. But I can fit in probably 3 more people. I just signed up a new student last night. I have a little bit of wiggle room. Reach out if you want to get in for the course. It is 28 weeks. It is the only one I'm teaching in 2026, and you only missed 2 weeks. I will see you back here for another church service on the 22nd. And that's going to be the art of intimate detachment, how to love and stay connected with others from a place of safety. But I will also see you back here tomorrow for my Dear Ivy show, my free advice show, 9 p.m. Eastern, back here on all these platforms. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. See you next time.